Ethical consumerism, also known as ethical consumption or conscious consumerism, refers to the practice of making purchasing decisions based on ethical and socially responsible considerations. Ethical consumers prioritize products and services that align with their values, which may include environmental sustainability, social justice, fair labor practices, animal welfare, and other ethical concerns. The primary goal of ethical consumerism is to drive positive social and environmental change by influencing businesses to adopt more responsible practices. Key principles of ethical consumerism and how it can drive social and environmental change include: consumer awareness. Ethical consumerism starts with consumer awareness. Individuals educate themselves about the social and environmental impact of various products and companies, seeking information about sourcing, production methods, and overall ethical practices. Demand for transparency. Ethical consumers demand transparency from businesses. They expect companies to disclose information about their supply chains, labor practices, and environmental policies. Transparency builds trust and allows consumers to make informed choices. Supporting ethical brands. Ethical consumers actively seek out and support brands and products that prioritize ethical practices. By choosing ethical alternatives, consumers create demand for products that align with their values, incentivizing businesses to adopt responsible practices. Boycotting unethical practices. Ethical consumers may choose to boycott products or companies that engage in unethical practices. This can include avoiding brands associated with environmental degradation, human rights abuses, or exploitative labor practices. Promoting sustainable practices. Ethical consumerism promotes sustainability by favoring products with eco-friendly certifications, recycled materials, and minimal environmental impact. This encourages businesses to adopt more sustainable practices to meet consumer preferences. Advocacy for fair trade. Ethical consumers often support fair trade products, which ensure fair wages and working conditions for producers in developing countries. By choosing fair trade options, consumers contribute to the well-being of workers in global supply chains. Pushing for ethical supply chains. Ethical consumerism encourages businesses to establish ethical supply chains. Companies are urged to ensure that their suppliers adhere to fair labor practices, ethical sourcing, and responsible production methods. Influencing corporate policies. Ethical consumers have the power to influence corporate policies. By expressing preferences for ethical practices, consumers can encourage companies to adopt and promote responsible business policies. Addressing social justice issues. Ethical consumerism addresses social justice issues by supporting companies that prioritize diversity, inclusion, and fair treatment of employees. This can include choosing products from companies with strong commitments to social responsibility. Encouraging innovation. Ethical consumer demand encourages businesses to innovate and develop sustainable and ethical alternatives. This can lead to the creation of new products, services, and business models that prioritize ethical and environmental considerations. Consumer activism. Ethical consumers often engage in consumer activism by participating in campaigns, petitions, and social media movements that highlight and challenge unethical business practices. Collective action amplifies the impact of individual choices. Government and policy advocacy. Ethical consumerism can extend to advocating for policy changes and government regulations that promote ethical business practices. By supporting legislative initiatives, consumers contribute to a broader framework of responsible commerce. Educating others. Ethical consumers play a role in educating others about the impact of consumer choices. Sharing information and raising awareness contribute to a culture of responsible consumption and collective action. Long-term impact. Ethical consumerism aims for long-term impact by influencing systemic change within industries. As ethical practices become more mainstream, businesses are compelled to adopt responsible approaches to remain competitive. While individual consumer choices may seem small, the collective impact of ethical consumerism has the potential to drive significant positive change. By choosing products and supporting businesses that prioritize ethical and sustainable practices, consumers contribute to a more socially and environmentally responsible marketplace.